I'm sure at one point in our lives we have all been taught something about Greek mythology, whether it was just the 12 main gods or just a little tidbit of a monster. Today I want to tell you to focus on two different things. I'm going to focus on a Greek god and a myth that has two completely different stories, one that you guys might be familiar with and one that you will not be familiar with. So the first Greek god I'm going to talk about is Persephone. She is the Greek goddess of death, destruction, and spring, ironically. She is also the queen of the underworld and wife to Hades. Now the story behind that, the most common story is that Hades kidnapped her from her mother and only lets her see Persephone 6 months out of the whole year, which is why we have spring and winter. The story you guys might not have heard of is a bit more realistic. Before Persephone was actually named Persephone, she was named Kore. And one day she was just wandering around Earth and she found a cave that actually led to the underworld. And she actually liked it there. And Hades was trying to get her out because she wasn't dead yet. She's like, I'm staying here. And she stood her ground. Well, her mother Demeter had a whole fit, and Zeus had to try to intervene to try to get Persephone to go back up to Earth. When a deal was struck that she could go up every 6 months and then return to Hades. So with that, with those different stories, the one that you guys might know, which is Hades kidnaps her, is kind of the story that the women of Greece associated with. The other story is the one that the men of Greece associated with, how she just found her way, she just wanted to stay there. And she actually became the most feared god out of all of them, because Persephone in Greek literally means the destroyer. And she doled out the harshest punishments out of anybody, and even Hades himself was kind of wary of her because she was so headstrong and stubborn, and she wouldn't, not that she wouldn't listen to him, but she would do her own thing, but she would do it in a way that she would think people deserved it. The monster is Medusa. I'm sure all of you know she's the lady with the snake hair who, if you look at her, turn you into stone. Now, she wasn't actually born a Gorgon like some myths say. She was actually human, and she was actually a priestess of Athena in a temple in Greece. So one day, Medusa was actually in the temple when she was raped by Poseidon, and this is where the story deviates. Athena did turn her into a Gorgon. One part of the story says that she did it to punish Medusa because she defiled her temple. And it was a punishment from the gods, and she put onto this island where men would try to come and kill her because she was a monster and all that, and then Jason came and killed her. The other side of that is that Athena took pity on Medusa, and she wanted to make things right by her brother's undoing. So she turned her into a Gorgon to make sure that no man would ever hurt her the way Poseidon hurt her ever again. And then that's when she put her onto the island and she isolated Medusa to protect her. So with both of these Greek myth things, every Greek story has multiple different sides of each story. And usually it's male, things that the Greek men used to see or things that the Greek women used to see. And a lot of these stories nobody hears because we always hear about what the main thought was, which back in Greece, it was always what the men thought, so then their thoughts were always pushed throughout the time, and these other smaller stories that kind of seemed better were cast aside, and you only can know about them if you really do your research. So with this, I hope if any of you ever are into Greek mythology like I am, and you're like, well, I want those different stories, do your research. There's a lot of mythology that I didn't even know of, and I kind of know everything about Greek mythology. It's my passion, it's a hobby of mine. And there's stories out there that I've never heard of. So it's a really fun topic. If you guys ever want to look some of this stuff up, I highly encourage you to do it.
Andy?
What makes you so passionate about Greek mythology?
So what makes me so passionate about Greek mythology? Well, in middle school when we were taught it, I just kind of took a real liking to it, all of the monsters and the gods, and working through all those myths. It became sort of a side hobby to look them up.